That might be the weirdest game I've watched all year. I mean, Thunder obviously dominated the first two games in the series, and they come out in the first half down nearly 30 points, and it looked really weird because Memphis is playing a completely different game plan defensively than they were in game one. And game one and two, where the focus was to completely take away the middle of the floor from Jalen Williams and Shai, and force them to kicking out to the wings, which is why you saw the other guys in the Thunder offense really start to cook, right? Really started getting rhythm, and despite Shea shooting so poor from the floor, they were in a position to score 120 points, 130 points in both games. So they come out a bit flat this game because now they're playing more traditional style. And early on, first quarter, Shea got going. I think he shot 5 of 7, maybe a bit more shots in the first quarter, and it looked like he was playing in a lot more space. He was looking like he was playing in a much more traditional setting on offense, right? So I looked in the first quarter. I was like, okay, Memphis is now starting to shift away from we're not gonna let Shea beat us to now let's see if Shea can beat us, because obviously the prevent Shea but allow everyone else to score defense was clearly not working. Thunder had 120 plus offensive rating in both games. So from their standpoint, it's 100% understandable. You try to shift away from being that aggressive on Shea, and maybe let's see how we can play one on one, more one on one. Obviously not. Obviously, there's still a lot of helping rules that they had on Shea. They were just gonna let him walk to like a 40 piece on Scottie Pippen. So interesting first quarter. Thunder did fine offensively in the first quarter, and then the real issue was the other end. Memphis looked a lot faster. They definitely pushed the pace, and I think that phrase gets overused a lot, but they truly did. Um, they were setting up their offense a lot smoother, spacing the floor a lot better, and they were setting a lot better screens for Ja to get downhill, Ja to eventually create, and for them it looked like they were playing the brand of basketball. It looked like they were dictating the terms, and that first quarter was just so weird because the Thunder have been giving a cushion, obviously, all series to these Memphis shooters, but they were much more aggressive in attacking. That Scottie Pippen shot 5 3 pointers in the first quarter. Uh, Players like Santi Aldama were shooting 3 pointers that were extended a few feet behind the line. They just broke the trends that we saw in the first two games of the series. Obviously, that's what happens over playoff series. Teams make adjustments, but they did it to such an extreme degree. It didn't really process in the moment, right? Like, did Memphis really flip this large of a switch just over a 1 game period? But truly, they've been building this since the second quarter of last game. Um, they played a lot better offensively since that. Jaren, Ja, and Bane have all and Scotty have all become real factors offensively in the series since the second quarter of game two. So I did kind of expect a much more closer game, a much more competitive game, because it did feel like they were kind of getting used to the Thunder's ball pressure, right? That completely got hijacked in the second half, right? So Thunder realized that the double big stuff is not really working because now Memphis is starting to exploit Jaren Jackson downhill. Memphis is starting to exploit the lack of perimeter movement you have when you have Chet and Hartenstein defensively. Just starting to expose that factor. They're also starting to expose Hartenstein a bit, and maybe not Hartenstein in a way, but maybe Hartenstein when they're playing double bigs, right? Because if he's gonna be playing Jaren, they can be much more aggressive on the boards because there's no one else on the Thunder really crash really heavily. Guys like Shea and Jada aren't really great rebounders despite their length and size. So Memphis makes these slight adjustments, which kind of take Hartenstein out the game on both ends. Uh, he had one of his few bad nights all season where didn't really feel like he was making an impact. He struggled against 80 on the board, if I remember, and there was a few possessions, like especially in the first half, where he's just not getting back in position. He's playing too high in the pick and roll coverages. Just again, it felt like they were exploiting some of his limitations, especially athletically, a lot better. So the Thunder for majority of the second half, they're playing Chet at the 5 and playing some small ball to really amplify the ball pressure because that's what they really lost in that double big lineup. was so special about their game one performance. They were able to hone in on their strength and ball pressure and perimeter ball denial. So they go small. They go small at times, playing four guards. I think was it maybe to begin the second quarter? I mean, begin the fourth quarter, something like that. Where they have a lineup of like Shea, Dort, Caruso, Wallace, and like I think Joe or J Dub, and this lineup just fucking created havoc defensively. Jaren Jackson Jr., who had some really good moments this game, really good moments last game. That has got his touch completely back. I said in game one that he physically cannot score in hindsight. That's no longer true. He's obviously been a special the left hand floater all season, his entire career. So he started to get going, but once Caruso started playing on him primarily, it was kind of over for Memphis offense because not only does he have to fight Caruso initially on those post ups and Caruso's hands, right? I think he had two or three strips on Jaren Jackson that were completely incredible. He only got credited for four steals, but I think there were two other possessions where he had a jump ball or created like a loose ball that eventually led to a turnover. So like in reality, he had like five or six true turnover possessions at 23 minutes, which is again absurd. He had one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen, and I'm not saying that lightly. I know I've ever seen a lot because that's truly what this Thunder team is. They've created a lot of historic moments that you kind of have to be there for, and that fourth quarter by Caruso just the Memphis defense looked helpless at times. I mean, if a 6'3" guard can completely take out a 6'10" player who's their best player, especially with Ja out the game, just by simply being aggressive and being pesky and having those hands, I mean, that's incredible. And obviously, when the Thunder are playing small, they're playing these four guards. It also amplifies their help. I mean, Jaren Jackson, whenever he touches the ball, you have two or three guys loading up against him, even if he does get the advantage on Caruso and keeps the ball away from him. And there's a few times where, obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a limited processor. He's not your highest level playmaker, but the few times that he did create an advantage, the Thunder are right there, coming like to take away the skip pass. There was a few passes to Concha, a few passes to Kennard, and you'll see guys like Casey Wallace or maybe Isaiah Joe. Again, Isaiah Joe is a very very underrated defender. I want to preach that again. Physically on the ball, he has really underrated court strength, especially against these stronger guards. And he off ball defensively, he had one or two possessions today which were completely terrible. But for the most part, over the course of the season, he's been really fine tuned at helping the Thunder, X out defensively, just close out really well on the ball, which helps you players helps style of defense so much, right? You have to have these fast players, these quick reactions off the ball. That's what they've really done. I'll talk about some specific player performances in a second. Actually, we can probably just go right into it. Shai is obviously like the big one because for the third straight game, he's been quite, frankly, terrible. And I don't want to sugarcoat it because Memphis has done some stuff that could potentially take away Shai from the game. But especially in the first half today, there was really no excuse for Shai to shoot that inefficiently. And right now, it just doesn't look like Shai's in rhythm offensively. It doesn't look like he's processing the floor well. He's not picking up his spots well. I don't think Memphis did anything extraordinary today. Games 1 and game 2, I talked about it. I think they were being stupidly aggressive. They're being aggressive to the point where they were forfeiting the game almost because it was kind of impossible for the Thunder not to score once the ball was out of Shai's hands because they had already put so much attention on taking away that middle of the floor from Shai. Game 3 has been really just a base coverage that Shai's seen all year, and he had some terrible turnovers down the stretch, and the Thunder could have honestly pulled away much earlier in that fourth quarter if Shai was playing at a serious level. And I think a trend that you've seen in the series is that Shai is not being able to get to the rim. That's obviously the primary objective for Memphis' defense to prevent Shai from getting to the rim. So that's not a shocking part, but you've got to leverage you've got to leverage that a bit better, right? You've got to maybe make a bit more skip passes, maybe attack, like be more aggressive on these drives with the intent to pass, which he just doesn't do much, right? If teams are gonna shut off the rim against you, at least like I think Luka does this a lot, and I'm not expecting Shea to be Luka as a playmaker, but just try to bait the help, right? Just drive with the intent to pass. You'll create a wide open free in the corner. You'll create a wide open collapse. Like he needs to do more of that because right now he's just taking too many dribbles a lot of these times, just getting really nowhere on the floor. He's letting the defense. I think that's the number one thing. Shea's playing really slow right now. He's playing really slow, and when you play slow, you let the defense dictate where you're gonna go with the ball. Because there's some plays where Shea starts at the top of the key and Memphis has not gotten to their help yet, or they have not shown help yet. But he dribbles the clock out a few seconds. He gets into its breakdowns, and Memphis can eventually send their help in their help rules for Shea. So if he really wants to get going in the series, he's gonna have to start attacking earlier. It's really just attacking earlier, attacking these mismatches earlier. There's possessions where the Thunder create a off-ball cross match where Shea could probably get Kennard on him or something like that, and he's just not able to attack it. He also does not look good athletically so far this series, and maybe that's a little bit of an overreaction. Maybe that's wrong on my part. Someone can correct me if so, but I don't think he's looked that bursty all series. I mean, there was a play on Bane where he just couldn't get by him, which is just incredible because this guy is one of the best first steps in the league. This guy understands his angles best in the league, right? So like, there were a few plays where it doesn't even look like Shea is well conditioned or something like that. I don't know. It's been really weird for these free games. I can't really pinpoint like one specific reason why Shea is like this, but like there's a combination of a few things: him not looking great in shape, him not reading the floor well, him playing too slow, and so some of it also is just him missing shots. Obviously, there's some shooting variance involved. He hasn't been shooting well from free all series. The mid range has kind of disappeared, but if he's not gonna get to the rim in this type of series, right? Like you're gonna have games like this, right? You're gonna have games where your jumper's not falling. So we can blame that. We can blame that on shooting variance, but we can also just blame Shea for not being able to. I think I can blame Shea for not forcing Memphis to get out of this defense. I think that's what you can blame Shea for. If Shea was more aggressive as a playmaker, if Shea intended to pass the ball more out of these drives, maybe Memphis is like, you know what, they're creating an open shot every time. We can't really play this aggressive because he's gonna make that pass. But he's not forcing them to do that because he's taking a lot of these bad shots, a lot of these off balance floaters. I mean, there was this play in transition where Shea just chucks up a shot at the rim with no angle. There was a play where he does this reverse when he had Chet at the dunker spot. Like they're forcing Shea into a lot of stupid shots, and that's not frequent. So, yeah, I mean, 3 bad games in a row for Shea. It's definitely, I'm not gonna act like it's not a concern because I think that's just like, oh, the Thunder up 3-0, everything's perfect. That's not what's happening. If your best player is struggling to disagree offensively, I do think there should be some valid concern, and I do think there should be some valid questions about what you need to change about Shea's usage and play style offensively going forward in this series and playoffs. Maybe operate him from the wing more, operate him in the post more, because right now at the top of the key, he's just not able to create anything. He's not able to read the floor, and I quite frankly never seen Shea play this bad in a 3-game stretch since 2022 when he was completely broken for the first half of the season. Moving away from Shea and moving more to the positive second half stuff we saw. I mean, Chet just played his best half of his NBA career, at least the most important second half of his career. I was talking about in the playback live, like, yes, we can be disappointed at Shea, but Chet has been a complete no-show. He was playing soft in the first half. He had like a few finishes that you just cannot miss as a 7-footer. He was pretty bad on the boards in the first half. And he was just really not a factor defensively. He just seemed a bit off to everything. And, I mean, that second half, obviously a lot of it's carried by the hot shooting, but like the aggression, and you kind of saw him pair the hot 3-point shooting with some closeout attacking, and it all created just such a beautiful, scoring half. I think he had 23 in the second half, if I'm correct. Was insanely impactful to completely change the Thunder's offense and helped Shai a lot, even in a game where Shai struggled. Whatever good looks he got, whatever good creation reps that Shai had in this game, it came from the Shai Chet pick and pop. So shout out Chet for playing his ass off. I mean, end of the day, we kind of forget that at times because of how high of a level player he is. But Chet's in his second year. He's playing like his 120th game, NBA game. Like having a 24-point playoff game with 8 rebounds and pretty good defense in the second half. It's just not normal. So impressive stuff. He had some great plays on Jaren on the stretch. He played really good on Edie on the boards on the stretch. He just looked a lot more juiced up, and I do think that sometimes like a thing with Chet, he kind of can get out the game on defensively when his offense is not rolling, especially on the boards. I think he kind of loses some juice, especially as a 4. But he played the 5 for majority of the second half, and it looked beautiful. There was a lot more space for the Thunder's offense, and obviously he's like the biggest reason why they pulled away in this game. But you can probably argue for 3 games, Chet's being the Thunder's best player. Out of Chet, J-Dub, and definitely being above Shai to this point, which is considering where he came back in the season, considering what he's won for the season, playing at the 4 a lot, coming back from injury in February, playing inconsistent minutes, only playing 20 games, having a limited usage offensively because of how good the team is, having to help improve a team that was already so good without him. That's not normal for a second-year player, so shout out Chet for that performance today. J-Dub was really impressive today. J-Dub was really, really impressive today. He had a really good start to the series at home, first 2 games. Played his game off. Hit the mid-range a lot, but today was really nice because he was really aggressive at getting to the rim, and this was a defense that Shai struggled to get to the rim against. So the fact that J-Dub was able to get to the line so much, J-Dub was able to put pressure and collapse the defense. He was playing really well in that semi-transition area, and he had some really impressive buckets out the pick and roll, a few snake dribbles that led to mid-range shots. He had some really nice playmaker. I think he's been a really nice playmaker all series. He's been really good at not forcing too many shots, and making sure that he's kicking out. Because again, Memphis is helping really reactively on all these drives. He's making sure to kick out to these wing guys a lot, which is why Joe, Caruso, Kaysen, Chet, etc. are able to been able to thrive so much this series offensively. So this has been a huge progression for J-Dub. Obviously, had a really disappointing end to the playoffs. He had a good first round, bad second round, which is normal for a sophomore. But to see this level, to see 3 straight good games on both ends in nearly every aspect outside of really 3-point shooting, and I guess free throw line shooting. I'm just looking at the box score right now. He shot 6 of 10, but to have that level of performance for 3 straight games, very impressive stuff. He's on his way for a max contract if he keeps this up. I have someone else to talk about in a bit, but on more Memphis' side, I mean, Ja injury was obviously unfortunate. Sucks to see. Just as a viewer of the game, not even part of the series, but I don't think the Dort play was dirty at all. I mean, if you saw the angle, it's kind of ridiculous to even say that. His foot literally slipped because of a wet spot, and he was playing a 2-on-1, and he turned away so quickly that there was no way he could stop his momentum, right? It was just really unfortunate timing. I mean, also the fact that Ja was, leaping in the air by the time Dort turned around, there was nothing he could do. So, unfortunate. I would be shocked, sadly, if Ja does return in the series. I mean, I think he probably doesn't play no matter what, especially now that you're down 3-0. But as much as people are going to say that's the reason why the Thunder came back, I also do think like the things that did change schematically in the second half in terms of crashing a bit less and forcing Memphis to play more in the half court. I think that was a big adjustment. playing more openly offensively, going away from double big. There was a lot of things that the Thunder, I think, no matter what, Ja or not, they would have been able to control. I don't know if they would have made the full comeback, but I think no matter what, they were going to make that run. But obviously that sucks from the game perspective. I think he might have said he broke his hip. That sucks. But yeah, the rotations today were quite interesting. I think now we're seeing Aaron Wiggins is kind of being phased out over the last 2 games. I think today was really bad defensively. He was really bad defensively. Same in game 2. I think he's back-to-back games of 7 minutes, so that's something to monitor. He's always been like out of the top 8 or 9 in the Thunder rotation. He's always been like the last guy in terms of how much Mark trusts him. I think Caruso's going to make a run to finish in a lot of these closing lineups when he has performances like this, when he can completely take over a game defensively. Like, that's defensive player of the year level stuff. I mean, if he's able to do that, it's really hard to argue against Shai, J-Dub, Caruso, Chet, and then either like Dort or Kaysen or Joe being your best lineup, right? Because you get the ball pressure, you get the shooting, you get the decision making for the most part, you get the on-ball creation. Like, it's really a perfect lineup. I think the double big lineup of Chet and Hartenstein is awesome, but I think there's a lot more things that you can potentially exploit as another team. I think when you play Chet at the 5 with those other guards in Caruso, the other 2 stars, you leave a lot less things for the other team to attack. It's just a much more simpler result most of the time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to talk about. Joe was really good offensively. He had like that one play. I think it was the 4th quarter, playing off a hard side screen or something like that. Hit a huge 3-pointer. That's awesome stuff. Kaysen was really disruptive in the second half with his hands and everything. He, again, ball pressure wins you games, and having the combination of him, Caruso, and Dort at times just completely fucks up teams. So you can't win this game without having the depth of someone like Kaysen Wallace. Another interesting rotation thing, Kenrich has not played any real minutes this series, and he might be the best DNP player in playoff history. Like, it's truly insane. This is like back-to-back years where he's just not playing real minutes. And it's kind of funny because when you look at Kenrich Williams' game and just like think about his play style, you kind of think like that's a playoff riser. That's a player that will play a lot of playoff minutes. The hustle, the grit, the rebounding, the positional size, especially on a team that lacks length. But like, I mean, the Thunder are just that good. I really do wonder if he does get it. I love Kenrich, obviously. I want him to retire to Oklahoma City, but I think there might be a chance that he might be on his way out just for both sides, because obviously the Thunder would keep him as that piece, but like, he could definitely be playing on a lot of playoff rotations right now. Jay Will's being a spot made guy. He did not go well today. It was kind of weird because they didn't play Jay Will with Shai, which I don't think we've seen them do all year. But I mean, other than that, there's nothing really else to say. That's one of the greatest playoff wins I've ever seen. I mean, objectively is. It is kind of funny now. I tweeted it that Shai's a part of the 2 greatest playoff comebacks ever. Obviously, today he wasn't a big part of it because of his struggles, but that's an insane stat. Obviously, this series is probably over, but coming away with a 20-point win comeback is going to look really memorable in whatever documentary they make in a few years from now. So I can't complain about that. That was one of the most fun second halves I've watched in a while. Really needed some juice because that first half had me questioning my love for basketball. I'm not gonna lie, it looked awful right there. I couldn't even watch like the Clippers Nuggets game at halftime. So I think it'll take like a day or two to truly settle in what they've actually done. I'll try to make a breakdown on it with film tomorrow, if I have the time. But man, I love this team. There's nothing else to say. If you guys probably already follow me on Twitter. If you guys don't, follow me there. I watch games live on playback. We just hit 400 members in like a month, which is insane on there. A lot of people chat with us during the Thunder game, talking about schemes, analyzing, reacting, making jokes. It's just a cool vibe. But there's nothing else to say. Appreciate y'all if you're still listening. Thunder up.